All right. Good morning, good afternoon, everyone, from everywhere, from wherever you're joining from. Thank you for joining us today. Thank you for taking the time to join us today for this important webinar on Sustainable Development Goal 6, focusing on clean water and sanitation. My name is Oyin from A4S, and I'm your host for this session. Can anyone signify that they can hear me?
Yes,
All right. All right, thank you. Okay, so I would like to encourage all of us to actively participate on today's session. Please, I want us to actively participate. I want us to ask questions and also engage with our speaker. And for those of you who might be new to our community, I'll be sharing my screen shortly. Okay, so for those of us who might be new to our community, A4S is a leading consulting firm, and we specialize in governance, performance, risk and compliance, and audit services for both the business and IT frameworks. So we also offer extensive monitoring and evaluation services focused on SDGs, the ESG, and the CSR. And our work in monitoring and evaluation helps organizations like yours. It helps your organizations to track your progress, to be able to measure your impact, and also ensure strategic objectives align with broader sustainability goals. Now, in a nutshell, what we help you to do is to be able to make meaningful contributions. Emphasis on meaningful, because a lot of organizations have their own CSR projects, they have their own SDG projects, but are they able to measure their contributions? Are they actually making meaningful impact, or they are just wasting money? So what we help you to do is to help you measure your impact, making sure that you're actually making meaningful contributions to global development. Now, this is our monitoring and evaluation assessors. I can send this to all the participants after the webinar. Now, it is my pleasure to introduce our speaker for today's webinar. I'll be sharing another screen. Okay, so this is our webinar for today, Mr. Dapo Omolade, and he's the CEO of Hybrid Group. Mr. Dapo Omolade brings over 24 years of active experience in occupational health, safety, environment, and project management. He has consistently served clients in diverse industries such as oil and gas, construction, power and energy, manufacturing and institutions. Is the CEO of Hybrid Group, a comprehensive safety solutions provider encompassing training, consultancy, and more. He also holds an MSc in Environment and Safety Management with professional qualifications, including NABOSH, which is the National Examination Board in Occupational Safety and Health, IOSH, which is the Institution of Occupational Safety and Health, and an alumni of prestigious institutions such as Harvard School of Public Health, London School of Business and Finance, Lagos Business School, and others. He has served as the ex-chairman of IOSH West Africa, president of Safety Advocacy and Empowerment Foundation, National Publicity Secretary of Oil and Gas Trainers Association of Nigeria, and is a board member of the Occupational Safety Society of Nigeria. Is the founder of Dapo Omolade Empowerment Initiative. He's not only a safety practitioner, but also an entrepreneur, advocate, consultant, trainer, auditor, coach, mentor, and speaker at conferences. You can see that our speaker is well loaded. He's committed to human empowerment and capacity building in HSC and project management, actively engaging as a coach, mentor, and regular speaker at seminars, workshops, and other programs. Mr. Dapo Omolade brings a wealth of expertise and passion to the team, ready to share insights that can drive sustainable change. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Dapo Omolade as he takes the floor. Can we give him a round of applause, please?
Okay, so good afternoon, and thank you so very much for that introduction. I would like to welcome everyone to this session this afternoon, coming from A4S. And I want to say a special thanks to my friend and brother, Dr. Orlando, for this opportunity to speak on this very important subject. Thank you. So, and I believe at the end, just like the moderator have mentioned, we hope that we can have an interactive and engaging session. It's a topic that I'm sure if you ask most of us here on this call, we can also say something about. So for some of us who are used to my style of presentation, I may be doing some call outs and asking questions. So please let's get the chat room engaged. And when we need to speak, I will also let us know so that we can have one or two people contribute. At the end of this 35 minutes that I have, which is about 30 minutes now to go, I hope would have had an engaging session this afternoon. And your lunch hour would have been worth it, because I know for some of us, this is our lunch hour. So please, let's make this lunch hour worth all the time that we are giving to it. Thank you so very much, everyone. All right, so SDG 6, clean water and sanitation for all. Please, can we confirm you can see my screen? That's my presentation. Is it okay?
Yes, we can see it, sir.
Fantastic. Okay, so clean water and sanitation for all. Let me start by asking anybody on this call. You can say, be bold enough to say something about it in the chat room if no. How many of us know anything about SDG? If you have never heard anything about SDG, can I see you say, just raise your hand or say, no, I've never heard about SDG, because I may assume that we know what SDG means. I will not even tell us the full meaning. Is there anybody here who does not know what SDG or what that phrase, sentence or whatever, what it means? Anyone? Is there anyone? So let me check. Any no on the chat room? So if you don't know about it, I just want a no in the chat room, just a no. Okay, so that is a very good space to be then, because everybody understands what SDG means, Sustainable Development Goals. So that means we are learned to that point of discussion on what SDG is all about. Okay, so for many of us that know about SDG here, how many SDG goals do we have? Let's see the chat room. How many SDG goals do we have? Okay, Femi says 17. Are you sure? Gabriel says 17. Okay. Any different answer from 17? All right. So I'm waiting for that. So are we saying the remaining 40 people or 30 people on the call don't know the number? If you know the number, 17 may not be the correct answer. So please go ahead and tell us the number. How many SDG goals do we have? Only 6 persons have responded to me out of 40 on the call. Okay, so I just want to get you awake right now. So thank you very much, 17. Okay, so everybody's correct again. So it means we understand what SDG is all about and we know the number of goals. So when we say SDG 6, then it makes some sense to us that amongst us, the SDG 17 goals, we are now talking about the SDG 6, which basically is on clean water and sanitation for all. All right, so good. So my opening sentence here says ensuring availability and sustainable management of water and sanitation for all. That's the summary of SDG 6. the purpose of the SDGs are to ensure that we have some targets, there are some goals that we have set for ourselves that we all need to achieve as countries, as states, as continents, as even individual. We all need to work assiduously to be able to achieve these goals, because they are goals that have been designed or brought about to make life on this earth worth it. Almost all the SDG goals, if you look at them and critically analyze them, you will see at the end of it is to ensure that you and I can be in this world and enjoy the fruit of what the world brings to us. So that means they are very critical to human. And then the 6 is so vital because it brings to the table something that everyone here cannot say no to. A popular Nigerian musician, sang a song some years ago, and I want to know if anybody here know that song. Well, this is my outline, so I'm going to go through this quickly in the next 30 minutes or thereabout. And it said a very beautiful song that has something to do like water no get enemy. Who knows the musician? Can I say in the chat room? If you know that musician, fella, they didn't even allow me ask the question. How many of you are shrine people here? So I see that a lot of the shrine enthusiasts are on this call. So fella sang that song so many years ago, and it said, water does not have enemy. For those who are joining from outside of Nigeria, fella is a popular Nigerian musician of blessed memory. I think they even just celebrated his birthday some days ago. Yes, I saw the flyer everywhere. Is it this weekend that is happening? So, and he sang this song that really shook everyone. I basically said, water does not have enemy. But how many of you know that water has sparked conflict and wars in many areas of the world, even between communities, between cities, between countries, in continents? Water has become, even though it does not have enemy, but it has the use and the abuse and the management of water, or what we call the ownership and access of water, has sparked conflicts and wars in many parts of our world. It means, therefore, that even though this substance, water, does not have enemy, but the importance of it sparks and brings about enmity. The importance of water, the need for water, the desire to have good, clean water has sparked wars and conflicts all over the world. And that's the food for thought. So you can understand when United Nations came with the SDG goals, what they're basically saying is there are consequences of not using water the right way. There are consequences of abusing water. There are consequences of, thinking you have so much of water and you just use it anyway. And that is one of the things I'm going to pass across today, because what I see in Nigeria is the way we used to use electricity some years ago. And for those of us who are on the call here, who are on band A, let me start from there. I'm not saying band B and C and D are not paying, but if you're on band A and you are paying for the energy you are using now, I'm sure many of you would rather not have light in your house now. You get to your home now and everywhere is dark from the beginning. And somebody will be wondering, is there light? In my house, there is a whole lot of conversation about use of energy. But some years back, we could leave the lights around us switched on for, in fact, sometimes you travel for a week or 2 weeks and you leave the lights on because you do not pay, or because the light seems to be in abundance. And then so you decide to waste it and misuse it. That's exactly what has happened to water in many parts of the world. The use of water has become so important that people are now, all over the world, I hope you can still hear me. Please, can you still hear me?
I can hear you. I can hear you.
Okay, good. All right. So that the use of water has become so important that people now can really make enmity over water. A guy did jealously now because you are paying for it. And that's also what I see in Nigeria sometimes, because it doesn't look like we're actually paying for water yet. And therefore, water is being used and abused by a whole lot of us. So another food for thought here from World Health Organization, according to the latest WASH-related burden of disease, estimate 1.4 million people die each year as a result of inadequate drinking water, sanitation, and hygiene. This is about what we mean by WASH is water, sanitation, and hygiene. So 1.4 million people die each year as a result of inadequate drinking water, which means maybe not having clean water to use. The vast majority of these deaths are in low and middle income countries. And when we mention that, then you can agree with me that Nigeria falls into this category. You'll see a data very shortly that will tell you what is happening in Nigeria. Unsafe sanitation, therefore, accounts for over 500,000 of these deaths. So 1.4 deaths, over 50% of that, about 50% of that is as a result of poor sanitation, unsafe sanitation that goes on around us, which causes things like diarrhea, and it's a major factor in several neglected tropical diseases. You know, I was talking with someone 4 days ago when I was preparing for this presentation, and the person is in the medical public health space. And the person was telling me that statistically, most of the diseases that we suffer, especially in the tropic, are related to poor sanitation or water. And I mean, he actually said up to 90% of some of those diseases that they have to treat is because somebody has consumed food that is already poisoned, that is contaminated by residues and all of that, or somebody is drinking water that is already polluted. And then you see all manner of diseases. So poor sanitation, of course, contributes also to malnutrition and ill health. This is from the World Health Organization. So you understand the importance of what United Nations is saying about SDG 6, because even WHO has come up with their own report. Let's quickly understand some concepts. I'll just read through this. The United States Geological Survey defines clean, safe water as water that will not harm you if you come in contact with it. For health and safety people here, once you hear the word harm, then you know what it means. So this basically says if a water has to be good for you, then it has to be safe. Because if it is unsafe, then it harms. And that's the implication of this definition. So clean water is therefore defined as water that is free from any form of contaminants, free from toxic chemicals, from pathogens. According to SDWA, the Safe Drinking Water Act in the US, contaminants are defined as any biological, chemical, physical, or radiological matter that finds itself into water. So when those things find themselves in water, for example, a chemical drops inside a body of water, then if it's not intended to be there, then we say the water has been contaminated. So sanitation, on the other hand, refers to public health conditions that relate to even clean drinking water and treatment. And of course, the disposal of the waste from human beings and sewage. Disposal of waste and sewage from humans. So when we talk about sanitation, then the first thing that should come to your mind is, how do we manage the waste that come from us as human beings? How do we manage those things? Because they are waste. They are not just waste because they are no longer useful, because in agriculture, they are very useful. But the point is, if they get out and they are not properly managed, they can get into the environment, and water is part of the environment. So when those things get into the environment that we are, where we are living, where we are eating, where we are doing our job, then they come in contact with us, and then it harms us. So you can see the relationship between clean water and sanitation. So if you want to put that in a simple term, if there is poor sanitation in area where you are, you cannot have clean water. If your waste is not managed well, the water will be contaminated. And if you go into a bit of scientific ideological circle, which I won't bother you with in this presentation, you will see how the water actually comes back and picks along with it all the things that are in the environment. So before you say, oh, this water is not good for drinking or it's not clean, it is possible that what has led to that is poor sanitation. Sewage, moving from underground system into and seeping into water system, seeping into water that is supposed to be consumed, and then it contaminates the water. Unfortunately, the consumers, humans, consume this water without even know that the waste coming from them is contaminating the same water that they are using for their chores. This is the relationship. And that's why United Nations brought the two together under the same SDG. So this is what I was asking you before. So most of you know this, so it's good. So the 17 SDG were adopted by United Nations in 2015 with the 2030 targets. I would like to let you know that at the last conference COPs that was done, it was brought back. United Nations made it clear to the whole world that the whole world has not achieved 15% of the SDG goals. 15%, 15. Now we are 15. So we are basically 9 years into the SDG goals. 2015, this is 2024. So we are 9 years now on the SDG goals to be able to achieve all these goals by 2030, but we have not achieved 15%. I went into the SDG report on clean water. Clean water has achieved less than 30% among the 17. So that means there's a long way to go, especially when it comes to our own part of the world, the low and mid-income countries like Nigeria. So we are basically saying we have not even achieved up to 20 or 30% of the goal for clean water and sanitation. And Lagos State will be a good case study for us in this conversation very shortly. So, yeah. So SDG 6 basically has two things that is driving, very important: water access and sanitation. And when you say water access, do people have reliable, safe access? When somebody says you have been denied access, it means you cannot get what you need. That thing may be so important for you, but once you are denied the opportunity to get it, it means you've got no access. So you see, access denied. So for many of us in this part of the world, we have continuous permanent access denied when it comes to clean water. We don't have it. In Lagos State or in some of the cosmopolitan cities in Nigeria, you may say yes. Let's go to our communities and our villages. It's continuous access denied. There's permanent access. You just get there, access denied, then you go back because you cannot get it. Why are you unable to get it? If clean water is not available, it is access denied. So access, and then sanitation, which of course I've just explained to us. So in the context of Nigeria, this goal is crucial due to the country's diverse water needs and challenges. With a large population of estimated 200 million plus, Nigeria faces significant challenges in providing access to clean water and sanitation facilities. I mean, I know my age now, and Dr. Lando, who is here, who happened to be an old-time friend from secondary school, we've been talking about toilets, provision of toilets since I knew myself. And up to what I'm saying now in Nigeria, there is no sanitation facilities. They do not, I was in one of the European countries not too long ago, and I wanted to use the bathroom. And this bathroom was not in a place where I could actually use it for free. And when I got to the door of the bathroom and I saw how much I needed to pay to go into that place, I had to tell myself, I'm saying, do you think you cannot hold this until you get to your hotel? Now that, you may say, oh, I'm very sarcastic on this, but the fact is, it costs budget, it costs institution, it costs government to be deliberate about providing sanitation facilities. If they are not provided, you cannot deny me access to releasing my waste. Now, this is where the problem is. I told you I had to tell myself that's in Nigeria. Can you pay this amount equivalent of Naira to go to any toilet in Nigeria? No. Please move on. You'll soon get to your hotel. But you can get to a point where you don't go into that bathroom right now, you are in a mess. Then you have to pay that money. So for so many people in our part of the world who are doing things that are so, I mean, Lagos State is a typical example of where on Tom Mainland Bridge, you can meet somebody there, turning the place to bathroom on Tom Mainland Bridge. So what this tells us is we have come to a point where if the access to sanitation facility is not there, you have forced me as a citizen to also not make myself uncomfortable. Then I go to anywhere I can find myself. Bad excuse, but it starts from government policy. Should you have toilets all over Lagos State or Nigeria where people can actually, do the right thing? If we don't, then people will be forced to do anything anywhere. So the level of awareness on clean water and sanitation is poor in Nigeria. And this has led to several cases of abuse, misuse, and pollution of water, and of course, the environment. Let's make progress. So I'm trying to see if there are chats in the room. Okay, so I'm going to ask a question very shortly for anybody to give me an answer. So, right, this is an example of what I'm talking about. I mean, this looks pictorial. It looks like pictures, but I'm sure some of us may even be close to where this is happening right now. All these pictures here. Sorry, I'm getting the call. Sorry, am I still being heard?
Yes, we can hear you, sir.
Okay, please, can you check why Orlando is calling my number, please? Maybe he wants to pass on a message to me, please. Can you check? All right, thank you.
Okay, sir.
All right, thank you. So I'm saying that this could even be the environment where you are now. How do you intend to live a healthy life in this kind of environment? It is not magical. There's no formula that says somebody here can be healthy, that says somebody here will not go down sick because of what you see. This is the reality in Nigeria. Now, how many of us know where this is? Let me hear in the chat room, please. Where is this? If you know where this is, then you may just be getting the price. Does anybody want to unmute to tell me where this is? I won't mind if somebody wants to unmute to tell me where this is. Is anybody's hand up? Where is this in Nigeria? Nobody knows it. Okay, my gift is gone with me now.
Ibadan Expressway.
Who is speaking? Stephen Olusoya. Say Lagos Ibadan Expressway. Okay.
I said Lagos. Yeah, I said it too.
No, you're saying it in your mind. I didn't hear you.
Okay,
So
well, no
I've kept my
problem.
gift now, so don't worry. That gift may come. Right, Lagos Ibadan Expressway. These are 4 different pictures. As of last week, the picture where my cursor is right now is the reality of that place. This road was completed sometime towards the end of the year, last year, and was open for use. As soon as this median by Beggar from Otedola Bridge to the Long Bridge, as soon as this median was done, it became a toilet for Nigerians, for Lagosians. I mean, I was coming one day, the first time I saw it, to be honest here, I had to ask my colleague in the car with me, sorry, what are these things I'm seeing inside this median? It just looked like flowers planted. And you go during the day, you count like 6, 7 people in that median, turning the place to toilets. So after about 8 months of turning the place to toilets, Lagos State came up recently and said, we need to clean it up. You can see people cleaning the place. This is what it is as of 2 days ago. But Lagos State now has to find a way to either block this place. They said there will be policemen there that will be arresting people. I'm wondering if policemen will be there at 1 a.m. for someone that is coming there. What would have been the right solution for this, if you ask me, in my own little way? Are there toilets around that axis that Nigerians can go into or Lagosians can go into to use, even if they have to pay 10 naira, 20 naira, 15 naira, 100 naira? Would that solve this problem beyond putting policemen here to watch a place that people must not use as toilets. That's interesting. They are going to put police, you are going to put law enforcement people to start catching people here. I mean, I will see how this will happen. Because I drove that place on Monday when this clinic was going on, and I was wondering what has come back to us. It means we are not aware. We do not even understand the consequences of what we are doing when we are messing up the environment. And this is SDG. Nigeria has a very good reputation when it comes to sanitation. You'll see the data here very shortly. And when I say Nigeria, I'm here. I'm in Keja. I'm Nigerian. So I'm talking about ourselves. This is what we do. And then we want to be healthy. We can't be if we keep doing this. So what is important? Let me rush quickly now. Health is an important, I've just mentioned that. Good, clean water and sanitation brings about economic development. It brings about environmental sustainability. I don't know if anybody passed through that place when that place was turned to a flower of excreta. If you could actually wind down, and then we're talking about environmental pollution. It brings about gender equality, social equity, and of course, it brings about economic progress. So if there is no clean water and no good sanitation and the people die, then there cannot be economic progress. So don't worry about this. This is just a historical value. I'm sure A4S will share this with us that attend this session. But you will see that what has caused water to become a major issue is based on the history of how water has moved up to where we are now. And as soon as we got into the Industrial Revolution, we started polluting water. Diseases started coming up. Then we started contaminated water. Cholera came up. Some diseases actually came and became part of us because of sanitation and poor water. So that is the history, right? So the size of the problem quickly. Let me play this video for us.
What I'm about to say is not new. Water is one of the biggest sources of life. Everyone needs it. Imagine living in a world with no access to clean water. For millions of people, including children, this is the reality. Every day, 1,000 children die because of unsafe water and sanitation. This is because they don't have a choice and do not have access to proper sanitation and hygiene facilities. Diseases like cholera, typhoid, and dysentery spread through water, and they can kill children. Millions of children are also missing out on their education. 3 out of 10 schools in the world don't have access to safe water and sanitation. Students in these schools are then more likely to fall ill, miss class, and drop out. Menstruating students also cannot manage their periods in a healthy and dignified way. In areas of conflict, children are 20 times more likely to die from diseases linked to unsafe water and sanitation than from violence, because wars wipe out water and sanitation infrastructure, leading to disease and death. Continued droughts, floods, conflicts, and famine, often worsened by climate change, are increasing water insecurity for millions. The main fact is this: no one stands to suffer more than children. UNICEF works in over 100 countries to help provide access to clean water and reliable sanitation, including in emergency situations such as the recent earthquakes in Syria and Turkey. But we need more water action from our governments. To all the world leaders at the UN Water Conference, the clock is ticking and the world is at a tipping point. You must make sure children are the center of all water agendas and must increase action and investment in water, sanitation, and hygiene. Access to clean water is not a privilege, it's a right, and children deserve no less. For them, it is a matter of life and death.
Okay, thank you so much. So let me just, sorry, if my camera is not showing well at your end, you may need to just adjust it because I'm just trying to make sure it's properly displayed. That's my camera. So let me go from the conclusion of that video. Access to clean water and sanitation is not a privilege. It's a right. And that should sink in very well. It's a right, not a privilege. So you are not being nice. Government is not being nice by providing it. You are not being nice if you have a school or an institution or you're in a state and you provide clean water and sanitation. It's my right to have access to it. And that's what we're saying here. Global statistics from what we have just seen. 2.2 billion people lack access to safely managed drinking water. Out of 7, about 8 million. That tells you the story. 2.2, that's about 25% of the whole world. They lack access to water. 26% of the global population does not have drinking water. 26%. 4 out of 5 people lacking basic drinking water services live in the rural areas. So now that's what I'm talking about Nigeria, not Lagos, but communities outside of the Ikeja and Via and Lekki that most of us live. When you go to the villages and communities, that's what we're saying. The next one, agriculture accounts for roughly 70% of global freshwater withdrawals. 3.6 billion people lack access to safely managed sanitation. 3.6, that's about half of the whole world do not have access to proper sanitation or managed sanitation. As of 2022, approximately 419 million people globally still practice open defecation. I hope this includes Nigeria, because open defecation in Nigeria is a massive percentage that I don't even know if we have the data right now, but 419 million do not have. So this tells us the size of the problem. So now, poor access to improved water and sanitation in Nigeria remains a major problem and increases mortality. The use of contaminated drinking water and poor sanitary condition result in increased vulnerability. So what are we saying here? That deaths of 70,000 children under 5 annually. According to WASH, 73% of diarrhea and enteric disease burden is as a result of poor water, unclean water, and sanitation. And on, 26.5% of the population use improved drinking water sources and sanitation alone. So a quarter of the whole world has access to clean water and sanitation. And finally, 20% of the population defecates in the open, again from WHO. What is the cost to Nigeria? This is another data. Open defecation in Nigeria, what is the cost? Economic cost. 1.3% of our GDP is lost because of open defecation. More than 100,000 children under 5 years of age die each year in Nigeria. Impact on children development, low productivity, poor education outcomes, because if the child is sick, it cannot go to school, it cannot study, therefore it does not have access again to education. Poor water, poor sanitation, no education. That's how it works together. And then we lose our dignity and security because of what we are doing to the whole society or the environment. So what are the challenges? And I've mentioned them in my discussion right now. Do we have inadequate infrastructure? Is there infrastructure for clean water? Do we have infrastructure for sanitation? How many governments, even some of the toilets that are in some parts of Nigeria in the public, what they call public toilet, some of us cannot dare enter because you are even afraid that going in there, you will be coming out with disease. So, there was a story I once told my friend. I went to see a friend of mine many years ago. I've just finished serving, and this my friend, me, I just went to their house and said we should come for a weekend. And I went to his house for a weekend. And I was in his room. And we gist, and the first thing is, and I was pressed and I wanted to go to the bathroom. When I entered into the bathroom, it was like a library. If you see the way the toilet was built, my God, I've never seen anything like that before. With books here, music playing here. But if you enter that kind of toilet, you'll be there for the next 30 minutes without even coming out. And I was like, wow, what am I saying? A sanitation facility should not be a place you are going into and you are at risk. So even some of the public ones that exist, nobody wants to go there because you don't want to go in there again and come out with disease. So there's inadequate infrastructure, unequal access. Some people are privileged, so they have it, while some don't. But remember what we have just said, it's a right, not a privilege. Climate change effects that is making water become so unavailable globally. Water pollution from industry, from agriculture, from activities of the miners, so many things causing water pollution around us. Population growth and urbanization in Nigeria, that's a very good point, because there is population growth in Nigeria. Even the facilities that are available is no longer enough for the people. New ones are not being built, so we still have the same 10 that was serving 1 million, now serving 10 million. How does that work? Governance and institutional challenges where the government people do not even understand what they should do. Poor knowledge and awareness for people that are messing up the median at Baja, Julius, at the beggar bus stop there. It's poor knowledge and awareness. Funding constraints. Some of these things need funds to make it happen. So how do we achieve it? Water conservation must become a complete system that we must all embrace. Are we conserving water, guys? Do you just use water? Sometimes you go into the bathroom. There was a time I went to some hotels, and I see that they have changed everything. Before now, you used to have bathtubs. They're no longer using bathtubs. Everything is a shower. Everything is shower. You know why? Because when you use bathtubs, you will use more water. When you use shower, you use a lot less. Conservation. Are you conserving water? Are organization recycling? Are they treating water rather than just going to dig more boreholes because they have access to dig it? Advanced water treatment methods to convert the water that has been polluted to clean water. Sustainable sanitation solution, mentioned that already. Community-based water management system, such as rain harvesting in villages. Those days, villages used to harvest rain to use when there's no water. Are we encouraging such? Policy and governance improvements. Nigeria has some policy in place now. As I round up, I'll show you the policy. But there'll be more policies. Government must take water and sanitation as a policy-driven situation. That's the only way you can solve it. There must be budgets. You must allocate resources. There must be experts, people who are competent to manage this system. These are all required if government brings out the policy. Of course, what we are doing is like education and awareness, continuous education to tell people how they should have access to water, and of course, how they should manage their waste, and then funding and investment strategies. These are all ways we can achieve it. Other ways include water infrastructure should be promoted. You should have clean water access. Let people have access to clean water. Have places where people can drink clean water in public. Let it flow. Improving sanitation systems and facility. Build more toilets. Build toilets that are reasonable, that people can use. If you can't use the toilet yourself, then why do you expect somebody outside to go use it? Laws and regulations. Investing in data collection and analysis. Trends to know if we're actually getting it right, and managing and adjusting to climate change initiatives. Because the climate change is real, and this is also affecting access to water. So what are the efforts that we have done in Nigeria as I round up now? The Nigerian government has established several policies to address SDG 6. One of them is the National Water Resource Policy that provides a comprehensive framework for the management and development of water resources. Every state in Nigeria has a Ministry for Water. Even at the national level, there is a Minister for Water Resources. So that is part of what is driving that. Additionally, there's also what we call the National Urban Water Sector Reform Strategy that was introduced into Nigeria. These institutional things will be part of the policy and governance that will drive clean water and sanitation. So by addressing institutional weakness and promoting private sector participation, the strategy aims to modernize water and sanitation infrastructure. In November 2018, the Nigerian president declared a state of emergency in the water sanitation sector And I'm sure some of us may not know it at that time. And that was where we had this campaign called Clean Nigeria, and use the toilets to jumpstart the country's journey towards becoming open defecation free by 2025. Next year is 2025. We are 4 months to it. And we are supposed to be open defecation free by 2025. I'm sure you have the answer yourself. I don't need to tell you if this goal is achieved or can be achieved at all. So Water Aid is also working with the Ministry of Environment. And then there's an ambitious aim of the hygiene behavior change, Clean Nigeria, to get 47 million Nigerians to use toilets and stop open defecation. I leave you to decide from what you are seeing around us if we are close to this target. Of course, WHO also has its own efforts, and that's when they finally declare that safe drinking water and sanitation is a right, not a privilege. And that's what I want to drive from here. It's a right for us to have clean water and to have sanitation. And of course, water scarcity is major. That's what access is also about. And once there is scarcity, some things are causing it, including our overexploitation. I think some years ago, maybe 5 or 6 years ago, Lagos State brought out a law that does not allow you to dig a borehole without asking the government for approval. But is that policy being followed? Of course. So you see people just borehole everywhere and in order to get water. And this is damaging the aquifer. It's causing problems to the geographical survey of Nigeria or Lagos. And all this has to be addressed. Final few slides and I'm done. So these are consequences of water scarcity. The big one I want to draw out of here that I've not mentioned is the interregional crisis over water control. Once there's water scarcity, water will have enemy because people become enemies of themselves because of water. And the example is what we have in Egypt and Ethiopia over the River Nile. So there's a lot of work going on because of access to water. So as I conclude this, I want you to know that achieving SDG 6 is not what you call maybe a very sharp, hot knife cutting through butter. No, there's complexity in the whole water system. And it takes knowledge, takes science, takes technology to be able to solve this problem. It's not just, oh, let's have good water, because we can actually turn bad water to good water. That's technology or science. So there's a whole complexity that comes with knowledge to be able to solve the problem. It's not just a problem you solve by wishing it or praying it. You have to do something. So we can make progress in guaranteeing that everyone has access to clean water and decent sanitation by tackling the problems of infrastructure. This has to be government-oriented, NGO, private sector players. We must all give access. There should be places for people to use. Nobody can survive without disposing their waste. So that infrastructure costs money. So there must be investment into it through pollution control and climate change, as well as putting good policies in place. This will therefore encourage environmental sustainability. It will improve economic growth that Nigeria so much desire and result in significant gains in public health. In the end, achieving SDG 6 will help people live better lives, just like other SDG. But this one is so critical because water is food to your body. So it will help us to live better lives globally and live a healthier planet for the future generation. I can just imagine if Lagos State did not go to that median to shut down what was going on there right now. In another 1 year, the whole of that median will possibly be filled with human waste done by us, Nigeria, or Lagosians, as the case be. So in addition to being a duty, pursuing this objective offers the chance to create a more just, so there's something about water justice, because if there's no access to water, it's an injustice. So water just, affluent, and a sustainable world. We cannot achieve sustainability and make my life healthier if we do not have access to clean water or access to good infrastructure for sanitation. This is the goal, and we must all put our hands together to achieve this. Otherwise, we should forget about a sustainable world. Thank you so very much, everyone. God bless you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Dapo. Thank you for that presentation. That was really valuable and insightful. And thank you for the case studies also. We really appreciate you. Now, I would like to open the floor for any questions from our participants. Questions, please drop your questions in the chat room, or you can raise your hand and our speaker will be answering all your questions one by one. Any questions? Okay, we have one question here. Okay,
There are
what
hands raised already. There are hands raised. Can you see the hands? There are 2 hands raised.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah.
okay, so Peter, you can unmute yourself now.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Good
Awesome
afternoon.
presentation, Mr. Dapo. Thank you very much for always sharing wealth of knowledge and experience with us. I just have a question to ask. How do we regulate the insufficient digging of boreholes? I think to use the word insufficient because by the time you check out most politicians, and you see probably you check their scorecard probably at the end of probably a circle, a year or anything. You check their scorecard. One of their major achievements is digging of boreholes in point A, point B, and point C. I know someone who is into the borehole drilling business and all that. And as a way of being inquisitive, I asked, has there been any kind of modality being taken? Is there a guideline that you follow before you just go to see these boreholes being contracted by these politicians? And he confided by saying, no, theirs is just because the locality doesn't have water, or there's just a need for them to just dig boreholes and to showcase to the world that they've done it for these people, or they carried out a way of saying dividends of democracy to the people and all that. So I just want to ask, is there a system that regulates all these in place, aside just the policy that is in place? Is there a system that techniques all these insufficient digging of boreholes in different localities? Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Thank you so very much, Peter. The answer is very easy, and I mentioned it now that I'm aware that Lagos State even has a regulation concerning digging of boreholes. I know this for sure. And that simply tells you that there is a requirement for legal infrastructure or institution to set up, such thing to make sure that you don't. Now, what is the disadvantage of this? You are trying to solve a problem. What's that problem? The problem of water scarcity, or no access to water by digging borehole. Now, are you causing another problem by digging the borehole? It is possible if the boreholes are not being dug according to the right system. And I'm not a geologist, but I know there are geologists that can tell you, even from a study in an environment, and let you know what depth you must take that borehole to, where you cannot dig the borehole. All of these are the system you are asking for. The knowledge is there, but is there what you call the political will to do the right thing? They are happy to say we are providing water. Why? Water scarcity is a major problem. So nobody is looking at, are they damaging the soil structure by the borehole they are digging? While I'm not saying the answer is yes, but I know it is possible to damage the water table just because of the way we dig borehole or drill borehole everywhere. So the solution to that is that there should be a government political will, not just to set up the law, but to enforce the law. Because if they don't enforce it, then there's nothing that can be done, just like every other thing that we know. So there's a whole lot that government have to do to achieve this. I hope I answer your question, Peter.
All right.
Thank you,
So,
sir.
Yeah.
okay.
Okay.
There's a
Baritule.
yeah.
Yeah, Baritule. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, sir, very much for your presentation.
Thank you.
Okay, so my question is this. Okay, so I'm trying to be practical here and realistic from what is obtainable in the society. Okay, so some person use water treatment chemicals. So my question is using water treatment chemicals such as a water guard kit, is it a sustainable and recommended method for making polluted water safe for consumption? I've noticed that these products are often promoted, but in cost of your presentation, I didn't hear you mention something like that. So can you provide some insight on the effectiveness and a potential environmental impact, if there's any? Is it a recommended thing? So that's my question. Thank you.
All right. So just the way to answer that is to say, recently the wife of the president says, plant vegetable in your compound. It can also give you some veg rather than going to pay for the veg. And so people say, no, why should you do that? That doesn't make sense. That cannot cure hunger. If you understand that in the past, there are things that are called sustenance activities, which are done to meet your immediate need. Dapo has a family of 4. The family needs to have good water. Therefore, sustaining that culture or that process, I may have a way of also purifying my water. So science, technology has come up with some simple ways to make water clean for you and for your use. And that is why you see some of those things. It's not only in Nigeria, I see them all over the world. Why are they there? If I cannot build a treatment plant in my village, in my house, to treat the water that I'm using from the well, but a company has been able to produce a solution that can either remove the impurities or disintegrate them, and this product has been accepted and has been approved by the institution that's supposed to approve it. Please note what I'm saying, because I know some of them may not have gone through any approval. So somebody just takes it and say, I pour into my water, I drink, the water is good. But if a system has made that solution viable or good to be able to use to use in a simple sustenance way, why not? I have no issue against it, because we cannot build treatment plants all over everybody's house, and you must have a way to make sure you can treat your water. So that's why I said the other day, I said science and technology, it's there for us to make sure we can have access to clean water. Do we have those products that can produce, that can give us access to clean water? The answer is yes. Have they been approved? If yes, then I will not mind using them. So that's what I'm trying to say here. So, but how you now start mentioning, or is it this one? Because I mean, this is a public forum, so we don't want to start calling name of products. But the point is, I want to be sure that I've been given the right thing, I've been given the right content or dose to use, and then it can be used to gain access to clean water. Access is the point here, not that can it be used for mass production. If you can't use it for mass production, then you cannot say you are giving you clean water. You may actually be consuming more chemicals by using them, because some they will ask you to put just 20 mils into the water. You put 100 mils, then you find that you're already causing a damage to yourself, because the 20 mils recommended means there was already a research or a process that has been done to say 20 mils can turn a bad water to a clean water if it is not more than 100 mils. These are science and technology stuff, and it works all over the world. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, sir. Okay, let me check the chat room now. Okay, there's a question.
So somebody is asking, is there any policy that enforce state government to provide restrooms in the public state, Well, if you're talking about policy from the federal government, I cannot say I know one right now. But there are policies that have informed all state governments to latch up to programs and activity to achieve the SDG 6. That's why I said there's no state in Nigeria that there's no Ministry of Water Resources, because there are things you must, water is a right. So you need to provide it. But if there's a federal government policy document, I mean, we have a whole lot of experts on this call that can say it, but I know there are several policies that the federal, and I quoted 2 here, that could also contain activity to say, do this. But to say start building public toilets, I cannot say I've seen any policy on that. But I know some states have programs to build public toilets and give them to private people to manage in order to have access to sanitation infrastructure. Thank you.
Okay, no, the one I saw is that small one. But check it.
All right. Hello. Are you there? Okay, so there's a question. There's a question also on the role of government issuing obligation pride clean water for their staff at work, especially the construction environment. The guy that is asking me this question, you want to cause trouble, because this answer is very big. Because there's a role that the government can play in this. The role that the government can play is, in many organizations and according to international principles and in some countries' laws, water and good sanitation infrastructure is a welfare requirement in the workplace. I'll repeat that again. It's a welfare requirement. So I'm a health and safety and environmental consultant. If I want to talk to an organization, I would say, do you know things that you must provide under welfare? And it says no. I said, you need to provide clean water for drinking. You need to provide good toilet for use. It's a welfare arrangement that must be part of HSC. Now, government role will mean, is there a law that says that should be done? For water and that, I see something that look like it in the Factories Act, but not explicitly stated that you must provide water, because that's why you go to some organization today, there's no water for them to drink, but they will have toilet to use, So there is some things like that in the Factories Act, because it's about factory. And the only thing the government can do as a role is to enforce that. Because if you go to construction site, as you mentioned, what they do there is, you are building here, then the next bush is your toilet. Let me give you guys a very good gist. Anybody who is there, apologies if you are from this part of Nigeria, but I served in that place some years back. And I was going to rent a room where I was going to stay as a core member. And we went to the landlord. And I said, wanted to rent a place. And he said, oh, this is where you're renting, pay for it. I said, okay, good. So when we went around, look at me, I'm coming from Lagos. I went around and I said, this building is built on water. Landlord, where is the toilet? In this building you are just constructing, where is the toilet attached to? The man looked at me and laughed. I mean, this happened to me for real. I always share this story with my family. If I ask my wife to tell you, because she knows about it. And the landlord looks at me and say, toilet, I go use money build toilet. See, if you step out of your room like this, now there you go do them. I was like, what? I mean, this is Nigeria, and I mean, you can see me, I'm not 80 years old. So this happened some years back. That was what the landlord told me. In a city, now this is not village. This is like the capital city of the state. And that's what I was told. Did government give approval for that building to be built? if the answer is yes, the government also approved that a toilet should not be built, then you can answer the question yourself. But I was told the water that I'm seeing underneath, we carry it away, the fish will eat it, everybody will be happy. That was the story I was told. And I couldn't rent that place because of it. I had to go to another place where, thankfully, I had a landlord that considered toilet as part of the building. Do we still have this happening now? I bet to tell you it may still be happening in some places. And that is government role in ensuring that that is done. On digging up pipe, I've talked about that. Government must set up infrastructure legal to make sure that people don't just dig by no borehole indiscriminately. You are damaging the ground, and yet you are trying to solve a problem. Eventually, there will be water, then we're going to start having collapses very much later. It's still not sustainable at any level. Thank you so much. I'm not sure there's any question again. Is there?
Sorry, I asked a question earlier. Thank you very much for taking this session. We kind of already knew that this was going to be an explosive session, and the insights you were going to provide was going to be enlightening. But I'd asked a question earlier. I said, well, isn't there also a problem with us as Nigerians? That, you know, we're largely also a set of undisciplined people. Well, you and I know, and I agree with the things you're saying. The entire SDG belongs to the government to implement. It is their job. But isn't there also a cultural side to it that, you know, we as a people, we will, even if whatever you do, we will, if you create public toilets, we will stand on the WC, we will break the WC, we will literally end up destroying the place, we will steal the tap that is there, we will take the cover of the WC, we will take it to our homes. You know, isn't there also a problem with just our mentality and our culture as a people? The other question I was going to ask is that even the cleaning that you said that Lagos State was doing on the is sustainable. Can they clean every week or every month of the year? Because I'm really trying to nail down what is a workable solution to some of these challenges.
Thank you very much. Let me answer the second one first, because I mentioned it in my presentation. And I said, in my own humble opinion, would it have been a better idea to build sanitation facilities around that area, rather than using Nigerian police force, the CARE, the last man, and all enforcement agency to stay in that place and be watching people that want to go to that place to do the big nine? That was the question I asked. It's not sustainable, I can tell you. In another 6 months, we'll show the picture of that place again, except they decide to build a complete barricade. Now, let me tell you what I've seen in barricade. I live not too far from Ojota. I've seen barricade in Ojota that was built 3 years ago. All of them have been destroyed now. So now that goes back to the question you are saying, that is it just about us, Nigerians? I'm an advocate and I do a lot of advocacy. And this is one of the things I say, Orlando, you may have exception to this, but I'll say it exactly the way I always say it. Have you seen a Nigerian in the US or UK who goes to the main road on the highway, M4, and is pooing or weeing? Have you seen one? Who is a Nigerian?
No, they will hold it in. They will behave once they're in those.
They will. Now that's the point. So when you say discipline of Nigeria, who will make Nigeria become disciplined is institutional failure. Institutional failure is a major contribution to what we are saying is our culture. Orlando, being dirty is not Nigerian culture. Being dirty people is not our culture. It's not, I've never seen it in anywhere where they say, this is our culture, to be dirty, to be poor, to not have consideration for our hygiene. No, I grew up and I know how my grandfather used to handle things. If you see some of the kind of cleanliness they do, you'll be wondering. So it is not culture. It is something we have learned because of institutional failure. I've said this before and somebody challenged me. I may have people on this call that also challenge me. I'm not saying there are not things that are cultural, but you cannot tell me that Nigerians are indisciplined. No, Something has made us indisciplined. That is the root cause. I don't stay on the surface solution. So putting a policeman there, they will watch the policeman and go and use the place. That is because it is not an indiscipline issue. It's just because we have failed in our institution. And you know, as an advocate yourself, that everything comes back to institutional governance. Where are we? When Nigeria becomes a place where there's governance, you will not see it happen. A part of Nigeria, another state in Nigeria that I visited some time ago, although they told me now that a new government came in and it has changed. That state used to pride themselves in cleanliness. Do you know what it means? You will drive through the whole road of that city. You will not see anything on the floor, on the road. And they used to put it as part of their pride in the state, that our city is the cleanest in Nigeria. Recently, the governance changed, and then the city is now becoming a dirty city. Is it not the same people that lived there some years ago that are living there now? So it's not about us. So I always tell people, indiscipline is not culture for us. We became indisciplined because institutions and government failed. And I always stand to be corrected, but I've not had anybody that convinces me otherwise in this my conversation. Thank you very much, Orlando.
Hello, good afternoon, Mr. Dapo.
Good afternoon, sir.
Hi, can you hear me? Okay, my name is Paul. Actually, I'm calling in from Ghana. So
wow.
basically, you're welcome, sir. So basically, you just hit the nail on the head. Let me also share an experience when we in Ghana here. We are quite used to the pipe bomb water our taps usually run. But for a fact, for the past 8 months now, we've not seen water from this tap. We are not used to the borehole system like we used to have in Nigeria. Yeah. So I tried, making inquiries what the problem is. Got to find out that the sources of this water, there are guys they call the illegal miners. They call them galamsey here. They have destroyed all the sources of water. So now for the Ghana water management, for them to be able to treat this water, they said they can't treat it because of the extent of pollution in this water. So it has contaminated. It has been a very big problem. For like 8 months now, we've not had access to water. Because why I'm bringing this up, the earlier caller was talking about the people's mindset and all that. If the institution is not properly in place, I think, like you said, will any Nigerian go to the US and maybe pee on the road? Of course, no, because the system is in place. So it's the same thing we're experiencing here. The system is not in place. The illegal miners are taking advantage, doing whatever it is they are doing. And of course, you also get to realize that some government influence is in there because some people in government are also the ones sponsoring them. So at the end of the day, they are destroying all the water bodies, all the water source. For 8 months, we don't have water. We've not had water on our pipe. So now you have to seek alternatives. So I just see this to be more of the, like you said, institutional problem. It's more of if the institution is properly in place, I think things will work well for every one of us.
Thank you so much, Paul. Ghana is home to me as well. So it's very interesting to see that this is happening. And again, you just corroborated what I've just said. Institutional has to be strong. One of our solutions in this presentation is that we must have strong institution. Once that comes into play, a whole lot of things that we are seeing as culture will disappear. That's the truth. Thank you very much, Paul. I don't know if there's any other question from anybody. Maybe a good time to draw this to an end. Moderator, please.
Thank you very much, Mr. Dapo, for that. Please, everybody, a round of applause. Mr. Dapo is the CEO of Hybrid Group, so please, a round of applause in the chat room. We will share the recording with you. It's Friday. We know some people need to go for prayers and things like that. We'll share the recording with you as it is. We'll also ensure that we'll put a portion of it on YouTube. We'll also share that with all of you. So, Mr. Dapo, we cannot thank you enough. If we wanted to pay you for this, we'll probably use our annual revenue to do that. And since we have no plans of cashing out our entire annual revenue, we'll not even make an attempt. We're not going to make an attempt.
Let's come and drink the water.
Right?
Yes,
so
I'm drinking water. Thank you.
Exactly.
Thank you. That was a good session. Well done. Well
you,
done.
sir.
Thank you very much. Your insights and your thoughts are really appreciated. So once again, thank you very much. God bless you. We look forward to seeing everybody in the next one we're going to be having next month, or 2 months from now as it is. So once again, thank you very much, everyone. God bless you. We'll reach out to all of you that registered with all the appropriate links for this session and even for others. Thank you. Have a great weekend, everyone. Thank you very much. Thank you. God
Bye-bye.
bless you. Mr.
Thank you so
Dapo,
much.
once
Thank
again,
you,
thank you.
everyone. Bye.
Yes, sir.
Thank
Bye.
you all. Thank you for your participation. Thank you, Mr. Dapo.